Hey, I'm Craig from Musician to Artist, and today we're chatting about Spotify. They have become the enemy again, haven't they? Spotify, we have a love-hate relationship with them as music artists. We love that it's so accessible for our music to be out there. The platform is amazing when we can just say, hey, listen to me on Spotify. But then it sucks when we look at the back end and we see nobody's buying our music, and Spotify seem to be taking all the profit off of our hard work. So we're going to have a look at what these recent changes are. And basically, they've capped it at 1,000 plays. So if you're under 1,000 plays, you don't get any royalties. They're only paying people over 1,000 plays. So we're going to have a look at that, and we're going to break this down into three real reasons we want to talk about this. First is, what are the changes and why have they made them? Second of all is, how does this affect us as independent artists? And the third, and I think most important thing, is what can we do to make sure our music continues to thrive into 2024 in this digital age when all the rules seem to be changing? What can we do to make sure our music and us as music artists can thrive? So let's chat about it. So first of all, why have they brought in these changes? Like I mentioned, you now need 1,000 streams to get any royalties from Spotify at all. And I might just mention quickly that this is, there's a ton of other platforms. So when I say Spotify, I'm actually talking about Spotify in this instance. But when we're talking about streaming, we're looking at Apple, Deezer, Amazon. There's a ton of them, right? So Spotify are the ones that have brought in this. So less than 1,000 streams on Apple. You're still getting paid from Apple, but I imagine all those things will start to shift. And here's why, because the reason they've done this 1,000 cap is because of the influx lately of AI generated music. So people have worked out without hardly any effort, they can make a song using AI, upload that, and begin to get paid for it without actually doing any work. So those songs aren't getting over 1,000 streams because they're not that great, but they are getting some streams. And the stats I saw is that it's 2/3 of all music being uploaded every day is this sort of non-serious musicians just trying to make a buck off Spotify by creating music through AI or creating simple instrumentals or something, and that's kind of flooding the market. And Spotify are paying out all this money, but it's not to artists like you and me that are actually trying to make a music career out of it, right? So that's one reason. The second reason is they really want to honor and kind of prioritize career artists. So people who are making music for a career, the big guys, making sure that the royalties that are being generated by streams are going to the right place, and that is to those music artists, like I mentioned. So I think for you and me, it's about being able to get into that career artist. If we can be recognized as one of those career artists that Spotify want to prioritize, then we're going to get the benefit from Spotify. But what it's doing is just trying to weed out all the rubbish, all the scammers, all the AI generated rubbish on Spotify, and just make sure that all them profits, well, it is a bit of profit, but all their royalties aren't being paid out to people who don't deserve it, basically. Now, what it does mean is 1,000 is the threshold, right? So once you get to 1,000, you don't get back paid that 1,000. It actually starts from 1,000. So if you want to get 1,000 streams or paid for 1,000 streams, you actually are going to need 2,000 streams. But what does this actually change? Not all that much, because 1,000 streams, Spotify would be paying you $3. So you think, what's the point? Can they not afford $3? We're paying $12, $13, whatever it is, dollars a month. Can they not afford $3? But if you've got a couple of million people uploading AI tracks and they're all getting $3, that starts to add up pretty quickly. But what we need to do is 1,000 plays in a year. So it's not even like over a long period of time. It's within that year, you have to have 1,000 plays, and then you'll start getting monetized on Spotify. Not a lot has changed, has it? Like, we're talking about those 600 streams that we're not going to get paid for. We're out of pocket about $1.60 or something like that. So I think to be making money off Spotify, we really need up around 100,000 streams plus anyway, to be actually being able to budget and bank on the royalties that Spotify are going to pay us for our music. So I don't think we really need to worry about missing out on our first 1,000 streams. Like, you're talking about $3. So I've mentioned a bunch of times on this channel, and I think now more than ever it's true, and that is that Spotify is not your income. You should never be looking at Spotify as, this is how I'm going to make money on my music. I'm going to get streams and that's going to pay my bills, put food on my table. Spotify is not for that. I think Spotify is a discovery tool. Spotify is great for people being able to listen to music. How good is it that you can say when you're at a gig, hey, look me up on Spotify, and you can nurture and grow a fan base through Spotify. You know, people can add you to their playlist. They can listen to you whenever they want, wherever they want. Spotify is great for discovering and for nurturing and for being like making sure people love your music and love you as a music artist. If we can shift our perspective to see Spotify as that, rather than as an income generator, rather than a company that's just ripping us off and taking all our money, they've actually created a platform that is incredible. Incredible. I was just looking for an extension lead in the cupboard a second ago, and I saw my old Discman, this massive big Discman. It's huge, where I'd play CDs. You put one CD player in it, you'd hold the thing dead still so it didn't skip. We forget, in all our whinging about Spotify ripping us off, we forget how hard it used to be to listen to music, or rather, how easy and how accessible it is now to listen to music through companies like Spotify. And I think that this is the fact that this has been created, invented, rolled out, and it's kind of changed the whole music industry. I don't have a problem with the CEO of Spotify making some money off a brilliant invention. Now, I might be corrected in that it's not his and he kind of stole it from someone else or whatever. But the fact is, we've got Spotify and it is a fantastic tool if our perspective can see it as a fantastic tool and not as a ripoff. We've got to change our mindset first thing. If you're really upset about it, then promote your Apple Music. Try and get people listening to it on Apple. Try and get people listening to it on Tidal or anything else. But at the end of the day, you're not missing out on a whole lot by getting people to listen to music for free on Spotify or for someone else's financial benefit. It's still the best tool for us. So point 3, what can we do to make sure we're thriving? I think this is a healthy reminder that we cannot rely on platforms to nurture our music for us, right? We can't rely on a third-party thing and kind of putting all our chips in a basket that somebody else is in control of, right? I talk about this often as well. So if our whole business model, and I use your music as a business in that's what you want to, that's the product you want to create for people to purchase. If that is completely on Spotify and all our chips are in that basket and we're just relying on somebody else's algorithm, somebody else's invention, somebody else's profit to control our profit, we're in real trouble. And what's happened over the last little while with Spotify changing these rules can happen on a much greater scale that will affect you. You know, they could change the rules and it could cost you $1,000 to upload a song. You know, so maybe their next thing will be, okay, if we want to stop these AI creators, let's just make it really expensive to put your money on Spotify, because then only the serious people will do that. So all of a sudden, we go back 10 years when we're having to actually purchase CDs, get them burnt, print out the artwork, and it costs us $2,000 to release a song. Spotify could change the rules and we go back to that. All right. Hopefully they won't. I don't think they will. But all I'm saying is if we rely on Spotify doing all the work for us, but it's somebody else's sandbox that we're playing in, they can change the rules. They can pick up their ball and go home, and we're left without nothing. So I think this is a healthy reminder to make sure that we are diversifying the way that we nurture our fans, get our music out there, all those sorts of things. We're not relying on one thing. I mean, the other thing is YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all the other things we put all our effort into, they can change the rules as well. YouTube could change copyright laws, for example, and you can't release your music on YouTube anymore without purchasing a license. Like, there could be anything. That's not the case right now, but they can change the rules. Facebook change the rules all the time as far as where your music can reach and who can hear your music, who can see your new video. All those sorts of things are out of our control. So we need to be thinking about ways that we can bring things into our control. I think we should be finding unique and creative ways to connect with our audience across different levels, right? So I talked about Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify. All those things are great tools, but think of some other ways you can bring them home. I think the best way is to have a website and an email list or something where you can bring people, super fans in, people who can go the next level. So there's a difference between the person that listens to your music on Spotify and the person that goes to your website, puts their email address in and wants to know about your tour dates or your merch or your new songs. So we've got to try and get people across the line and bring them into our own community that we create. So one of my friends just created a community called the Wild Ones. And we know about the Swifties or whatever. The artists have their sort of fan clubs, and they're not cultivated through Spotify or third-party apps or softwares or anything. You've got your own system. So that might be through your website, through your email, things that you own, things that nobody can change the rules on, right? You have control of the way they work, the way your mail's delivered, the way your website talks to your fans. You're in control of that. So think about ways you can bring things over so when rules change, they don't affect you so much. The next thing is we need to think of ways that we can actually make income through our music. So forget Spotify as that thing. Let's just forget Spotify as the thing that makes us income. But what does make you income? Another artist that I work with all the time, Megan, she's just thought about, okay, what can I actually charge for a gig? So just thought, it's time to put my price up. I started at this price and now she's up to doing 2 gigs a week. I think this year she did over 70 gigs locally. And this town we live in has 40,000 people in it. It's not massive. 70 gigs. So if you think, let's just put some ballpark round numbers in there. Let's just say you're getting $300 for a gig, right? That is the equivalent, ready, of 100,000 streams. 100,000 streams on Spotify is the same as doing one 3-hour gig that you get paid $300 for. So let's shift and say if we want to make money from our music, maybe there's other ways to do it. So live gigs is one. And I think $300 is too low. So she's just talked about putting her prices up, which I think is great because everyone loves live music. And if you're good at it and if you've got the demand of 70 gigs over a year, then you can put your prices up. So you can make money from doing more gigs. And if you haven't thought about that, you're still trying to just do it on Spotify, think about the live performance. There's a lot of money in it. It's hard work, but yeah, it does pay. It's the old school way of paying. You know, artists still go on tour because people want to come out and listen and experience live music. So you can cash in on that. Hey, sorry, I'm just going to interrupt my own video for a second to show you something that I reckon will really help you out. What will normally happen, and let me know if you can relate to this, you'll start writing your song and you won't finish it. Or if you do finish it, you kind of think it sounds boring, not that interesting, and you're not really in a hurry to show anybody. If that's you, I want to show you some free training I've created called From Singer to Songwriter. So this is a songwriting system that I've created to take the overwhelm out of songwriting and just lay it out in a really, really simple way that means you can start and finish more songs, and they're songs that you are proud of. So within this training, I unpack every concept of songwriting, from coming up with melodies, chords, dynamics, rhythm, structure, everything that goes into songwriting. I teach you those concepts and then I actually do that on camera. So I write a melody, I write chords, I write lyrics on camera, and then I give you the opportunity to go and write that yourself. So together, we both write a song during this training. And the song that I actually wrote in this went on to be produced and professionally released and is doing super well on both Spotify and YouTube. So I know the system works and it works really well. The link below is going to take you to some free training where I show you in a crash course across 3 videos what this songwriting system is, and I write a quick song in there just to show you how it all works. If the system resonates with you and you think you want to go deeper, then I've got a full course called From Singer to Songwriter, which you can purchase. That is a deep dive. So that is 6 hours of training across 26 videos, going deep into melody, chords, lyrics, rhythm, production, the whole thing. It's all available from the link below. Jump on, it's completely free to get started and see if you can implement this system, write some better songs, some songs you're proud of, start getting your music out into the world. I hope to see you in there. Another way, I talked about this fan club, the wild ones, the Swifties, those sorts of things. They are super fans. If you can get a community of people that will invest, that will go the next step, not just listen, not just like, not just comment, but go in and give you your email, give you their email address so that they can be on your inside, then you can start to sell. They're ready to purchase. They are ready to invest. So if you've got merchandise, you can sell tickets to shows. Maybe you're just doing free shows where the venues pay them. Maybe you can think about, can I actually put on a show for 15 people, for however many people, 50 people. Again, my mate I was talking about with the wild ones, he put on a local show and got 500 people paying $50 a ticket to come to that show because he'd built his name up, and people want to come out to a good, well put on performance. So if you've got your Swifties, if you've got your group of people who say, hey, I'm doing this show, you guys are the first, it's exclusive ticket sales to people within my community, then people start to spend money. Or maybe you could do with that, if they do a membership, so maybe they could sign up to your community for free, but then within that, you've got a membership that they might pay however much a month. You could do $12 a month, you could do $40 a month, whatever you want to do. And then within that, maybe you've got some private live streams. You've got some, I don't know, maybe they could stream in on your rehearsals. You could write custom happy birthday songs to them. There's a bunch of things you can do where people, again, buy into what you're doing because they appreciate your music and they want to see you succeed. And the way that goes back is not about you succeeding, but about what can I give to my fans. And again, you got to think about your favorite musician. Imagine if your favorite musician wrote or sang a customized happy birthday song to you. That does nothing for that person. They probably hate doing it. But for you as the fan, that means a lot. So that if we can shift our head to think, what can I do for my fans? How can I make my fans feel special? How can I make my super group feel like they're appreciated and that they have something that nobody else has? So this isn't a comprehensive video of what you can do to make money with your music, but what I want to do is just start to shift your perspective, forget about Spotify ripping you off, and start thinking about what you can do, what you can take into your own hands to make your music more profitable so that you can, whatever you want to do it. You want to quit your day job, you want to tour full time, you want to be a musician, you want to songwrite all the time, whatever you want to do. Think about what you can do in your own hands to push that forward, and let's stop blaming and shaming the companies that are ripping us off, but rather move forward in our own strength with our own music. Thanks for hanging out with me. I've got a ton of videos about this sort of thing. I'm really passionate about independent musicians. I don't think we need labels and PR companies like we used to do. Because we have the internet, we have things like Spotify, we can actually cultivate and grow our own music career. And that's what From Musician to Artist is all about. So subscribe if you haven't. Make sure you do check out my free songwriting workshop. I mean, way before we even get to Spotify, we need a killer song. And I want to help you do that. And yeah, I hope to see you in that free songwriting workshop.